look at some of the fits from the 80s, you're like, wow. Oh, some of the hairstyles. But it was a great time for hip-hop, cultural change.
Sneakers.
And, oh, yeah, big time for that. I mean, kind of wearing sneakers outside of just, the sport.
It was good.
Yeah. Great time.
Meanwhile, 2:10 to play here in this first quarter. Brian and Jim, pop culture reviews will take place later on this season. Stay tuned. 56-46. Clippers out in front. Edwards for three. Terrence Mann gobbles up the rebound. Under 2 to play. The preseason comes to a close on Wednesday. Opening night for the Clippers will be a Laker home game on October 20th. Morris for three. A rare miss for him tonight. McDaniels leaks out, but the Clippers do well to get back in transition. Edwards swivels down the lane. He's aggressive, and he is very good if he can take flight below the free throw line. Exhibit A, Your Honor.
Well, Chris Finch, if you talk to him, he said, what's the next step for Anthony Edwards? And he said, consistency. In your effort. Now, you're not going to score and shoot well every night, but is your effort consistent? And that's for the third-year player, something he's aiming for.
And that was one thing he took care of, as Covington knocks down the three. Edwards thought he was out of shape at times during the year, so he's made changes in his diet. He's made changes in his workout. He's expected to play all 82 and play them in overdrive every single night.
Well, if you want to be a defensive player, caliber first team, you got to be in shape. And you have to have a high, see a push right there by, man, you have to have an high IQ of the game of basketball in order to be a really outstanding defensive player.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in Minnesota. Big things, big expectations.
Yep.
See just where he ranks young players. He's legit, and he doesn't thrive in the spotlight. He embraces, he wants the spotlight. Pocket pick by George. Transition three, going 2 for 1, and he knocks it in. 62-48, Clippers out in front here.
Well, when you have those live ball turnovers, you're not going to have defensive balance in the backcourt. And that time, Paul George able to take advantage of that from the Timberwolves.
Towns tries to drive on Morris. Have an all-wing lineup there for the Clippers. And Lord of the Wings is going to be what Ty Lue is this year. This is going to be some scene for them. Switch 1 through 5.
Yep.
The advantages are that. Tell me what the advantages are offensively for this kind of a unit.
Well, because you got playmakers, shooters, guys that can put it on the deck. But here's the thing, too. If you think about it going small, maybe against Minnesota because you got Gobert and Towns, okay? Jokic. You're only going to see Philly twice. So when you talk about size, you can't really, out of 82 games, say, well, we're going to be at a disadvantage because most teams don't have dominant centers like that. So most teams are playing with all-wing kind of players if they have it. So in spurts, you can play them against Minnesota and maybe get away with it. But for the long term, it's all about matchups, and it does benefit the Clippers, a team like Toronto, because that's where the league is at now. Outside of those guys that I mentioned, and there's far and fewer in between, that's under 5 players.
Saw Austin Rivers check in, former Clipper. Paul George taking time off the ticker. About a half-second difference between the two timers. Tough pass for Batum, turns it over. 4 seconds. McDaniels. A wild swipe by George, a whistle and a foul. Count the basket with 0.2 of a second to play in the half.
Yeah, I will say this, with not having as much practice time and you shorten back on your preseason games, your timing is going to be off a little bit, conditioning. You're going to see that early in the preseason with teams because the continuity is not there early. But with a veteran-laden team like the Clippers, I don't think it'll take too much time.
62-53 at the end of the second quarter.